Hello, this is Dr. Yamada. This is a part two of citation and reference topic. In part one, I talked about what is citation and the difference between in-text citation and references. And there are different styles of citation. In part two, I'm going to start with the difference between the direct quotation and other citations. And we are going to learn how to do in-text citations. All right, so I'm going to start with a direct quotation. This video is made for students who are in a science major. So in brief, in scientific writing, you should minimize the use of direct quotation. One of the reasons is that if you have so many direct quotations, one legitimate question is, what is your writing? Right? There's no originality in your writing, so there's no point of reading your work. If you have many direct quotes, what's the point for readers of reading your work, right? They could just go to the original source. So direct quotation should be minimized. The only occasion you could use direct quotation is when you describe the specific definition. And if you rephrase it in your own words, then the context is lost. So using that word in that grammar is so important that nothing should be changed. That's the only situation where you should use a direct quotation. In all other cases, you should summarize it. You should rephrase the previous work because it is your own writing. So it is your intellectual work. When it comes to normal citation, there are two different methods, and the rules slightly differ by the number of authors. You can cite somebody's work as a part of your own sentence. So, for example, you could write according to James and Adams, and you write your own sentence. Or Jefferson hypothesized, blah, blah, blah. So, in these cases, the author's names is part of your own sentence. When it comes to the second sentence, the author's name is the subject of your own sentence, right? So that's one method of citing somebody's work. Another method is you just don't include the author's name in your sentence. And if you remove the citation, the grammar just perfectly should make sense. So those are two different methods, but there's nothing wrong with any of these methods. You could use both. I use both methods depending on the situation. So we're going to learn both rules. Okay, so the basic rules. When the source is written by only one author, when you use the author as a part of your sentence, then you just write down the last name of the author and the year in the parenthesis. Okay, when you do not use the author as a part of your sentence, then the rule is you only use the last name, you only write down the last name, and then you separate the name and the year by the comma. Okay, so make sure you don't include the first name of the author. When it comes to two authors, and you want to use author's name as a part of your sentence, write the last name of the first author and write the second author's last name. And other rules is the same. And the point here is you spell out and, A-N-D. This rule is different for the other methods. When you do not use the author's name in your sentence, then the rule changes to focus on the end. The end, you must use this symbol, not spelling out A-N-D. So the rule changes slightly when the source have three or more authors. If you want to use the author's name as a part of your sentence, you just write out the last name of the first author and add et al. So last name of the first author et al. So that's the rule. When you do not use the author's name as a part of your sentence, then The rules are pretty simple. Last name of the last name of only the first author and add at all and separate by comma. When you cite multiple sources, then you separate each work by semicolon. And how you organize the author's name is not by the ear, but actually by the alphabetical order. If you have a multiple evidence written by the same author, you can simply separate the year of the publication by comma. The only tricky part about the in-text citation is that when you have multiple work starting from the same author, right? Same first author, but the second, third, fourth, or whoever other authors' orders are different. If we just apply the same rule, it's going to be Walker et al. 2022. The second one is also Walker et al. 2022. And the third one is also Walker et al. 2022. So for readers, that they would not know which evidence you are talking about. So when you encounter this situation, you have to list the last name until the source is identifiable. So for example, if you're citing all of these sources somewhere in your sentences, right, somewhere in your writing, but you're specifically talking about Walker, McPherson, and Forbes, then you have to write Walker, McPherson at this point, and this is the first source, right? And then you put et al. So if you want to identify the third one, you will have to write Walker, Adams, Forbes, et al. So that way readers can identify this is not the second source, this is the third source. So in part 3, I'm going to talk about references, which has many more rules and more complicated.